how I got to 5.2% body fat completely naturally and why you shouldn't. So near the start of last year, I decided to compete in a natural bodybuilding competition. If you don't know, in bodybuilding competitions, you have to get unhealthily lean to able to place and actually compete to showcase your physique in the competition and under the stage lighting. At the start of last year, I decided I wanted to do this just to see how lean I could actually get and how I could showcase my physique and improve my overall posing and just my knowledge of my body and biomechanics. So I started obviously still eating whole foods, high quality, nutrient dense foods, and slowly started getting down from my average. I usually sit around, 9%, 10%, maybe 12%. Depends how much ice cream I'm eating, but really depends on, what I'm doing at the time, how much I'm moving around and things. So I started this, prep per se at around, I believe it was like 9% body fat. So already like pretty lean in the general sense compared to the average person, but obviously nowhere near as lean as I needed to be for an actual competition. So to get down to, I think the lowest I got was 5.2% body fat. To get down to there, I obviously had to eat, less and less food. And the problem started kicking in around about 3 or 2 weeks before the competition, when I was hovering around, 6% and then around that 5% mark as well. And anywhere below 7% is I really started to notice the difference in how I felt, how I slept, my performance in training, and even just like little tasks like thinking and mental tasks became a lot harder. So doing a bodybuilding competition, you're going to look really cool and look pretty crazy, but it's not the most healthy thing to do, and it's definitely not healthy to sustain this shriveled up raisin look for a long period of time. It's much healthier to set yourself around that 8, 9, 10, even 12% body fat, just wherever you feel the best, you have the most energy, and you sleep very well, you recover amazingly, and you still look great. And honestly, no one really notices the difference between say 8% and 6% on your average day to day. Only the super nitpicking bodybuilder community will be like, oh, he's so fat and he's 7% body fat, right? So no one really notices the difference anyway. You look better, in my opinion, when you have a little bit more fat on you around that 8%, 10% mark, and you feel 100 times better. So I'd always recommend, if you are looking at getting leaner, you're looking at getting shredded, aim for something that you can actually maintain long term. There's no point getting insanely shredded at 6% body fat and then feeling like death, not being able to sleep, have literally no sex drive at all. You become asexual. You can't even do simple tasks like thinking, right? It's just not great, and you don't want to sustain that state long term. So basically what I did is, like I said, I ate less and less food, which is pretty basic sort of stuff. I increased my overall movement. I was training twice a day. I was going on walks, 3, 4, 5 times a day, just to get my body to the state where I looked acceptable on stage, right? And obviously it looked pretty cool, looked pretty lean, but I felt like death, right? So it's just really not worth it unless you want to pursue a career in bodybuilding. If that's your thing, great. If it's not, chances are most people it's not, right? So trying to find a protocol that you can actually feel great and look great on long term is the best approach to, fitness, or more importantly, your health, right? Because if you only look at fitness, or you look at your body through the lens of fitness, quite often, it's going to sacrifice your health. So a much better way to look at this is to optimize your health, and then as a side effect of that, you're going to have a great physique anyway. So it's much more long-term. It's a much more long-term approach to look at it through the lens of health. And then as a byproduct, you're going to have a great physique, rather than trying to sacrifice all these health markers to get a good physique, that no one's going to notice the difference anyway between 10% and 6%, unless you're a heavy into the bodybuilding community. And if that's your thing, that's cool. So contrary to popular belief, to get insanely shredded, you don't actually have to count calories. You just have to be more in tune with your body and know how much food you are eating. So going away from the conventional or standard bodybuilding, diet where you're having, chicken and rice and some broccoli 6 times a day.
8 o'clock in the morning, I'll have fish and a rice cake.
I was still eating steak every single day up until, the show day, right? And you can still eat high-fat red meat. You don't have to crush your overall fat intake into the ground and just have super lean meat to get shredded, I mean, it works, but you're going to feel really not amazing, right? And you're not going to feel great anyway if you're lean, and you're really not going to feel great if your body is nutrient deficient and you're missing all of these key nutrients that you're going to be getting from red meat or an animal-based style diet, and you go down the conventional bodybuilding route, which again isn't focused on health, it's more so focused on just the physique. So even when you are trying to cut down, by all means, if you want to get to 6% body fat and learn the same lessons that I have, you can do it, but you don't have to be, neurotic about it, weighing every single thing that you eat. Again, it works, but it's just the wrong way to think about food. Food isn't just like a random number that some little app tells you what it is. It's actually a lot more than that. It fuels and nourishes your body, and having your body in a state that can actually digest this food is a lot more important than, the calories or the amount of protein or carbs or fat that is inside the food itself. You want the food for the nutrients, the micronutrients that is, not the macronutrients inside of it. And if you construct your diet around macronutrients, which is what 99% of the fitness industry and coaches and things like that recommend you to do, if you're not looking at the micronutrient side of things, chances are you're probably going to be deficient in certain things. So focusing your entire nutrition regime around micronutrients and just eating whole foods that make you feel great, you're going to still get the same results. You're going to look awesome, you're going to have a lot of muscle mass, and you're going to be lean, but you're also, more importantly, going to feel great. You're going to sleep great every night. You're going to have a healthy libido. Your hormone profile is going to be optimal rather than crushed into the ground like it would be if you are supremely nutrient deficient or chronically nutrient deficient over a long period of time, which is what a lot of these guys in the fitness industry are. And then they resort to things like performance enhancing drugs, steroids, things like that to try boost their results, when they can just do most of this naturally through proven natural methods like eating whole foods, getting outside in the sun, and allowing their body to actually adapt to the environment they put themselves into. So if you put your body in a highly vital natural environment all of the time, you're going to be highly vital and natural, right? But if you put yourself in an artificial environment all the time, that you're trying to biohack your way out of such a bad environment, you might get the same result, but long term it's just not going to work, right? So it's much better to just align yourself with the natural world, eat natural whole foods that are based around micronutrients, foods that you digest very well, and you're going to feel amazing. You don't have to, rip 0-calorie drinks and do all this other, nonsense that so many people in the fitness industry tell you that you need to do to get lean. You just don't need to do it. You don't need to do cardio for hours on end. And if that's what you want to do, that's great, but most people don't really want to do that, right? So the better way to structure movement into your life, rather than doing like scheduled cardio sessions, is to actually have a hobby that is focused around movement. So for example, like surfing or boxing, or even just walking around the park, something that you enjoy doing that is fun. If it's throwing a ball around with your friends, that could be movement focused as well. Then you're going to get all the natural benefits of doing like a scheduled cardio session, but you're actually going to enjoy it. And when you enjoy something, you can do it long term. So whatever process that you put in place, if you want to do a bodybuilding competition, if you want to just get really lean, make sure that you actually enjoy the process, because if you don't enjoy it, you're never going to want to do it again. And that's not great for anyone, right? You want to do a process that you will enjoy long term, so then what you put in place now is going to work for the rest of your life, because there's no point doing something short term to get a result and then just go back to the old things that you enjoy doing, like sitting on the couch and watching Netflix, going out drinking on the weekends, ordering Soyba Eats to your door. All of these things, you may enjoy them, but they're not great for you. So replace it with something that you do enjoy that is actually going to get you to your goal. So like a thing that I see all of the time is, these like fitness influencers and things like that, guys on Instagram that are supremely shredded, 9 months out of the year or even year round. Like, and I'm not talking about shredded in the sense of the average person thinks you're jacked and shredded at like 10%. I'm talking about they're like within striking distance of a show. They're like 2 weeks out of a show, just year round. And by all means, you can do that naturally, but again, you're going to feel like death, right? And at the end of the day, what is, fitness about? It's about being as healthy as possible. And if you feel like death, that isn't really correlated with being healthy. So it's not the best option to do. And a lot of these guys that you see online that are, like I said, within striking distance of doing or competing in a show year round, they're quite often, you know, having some other help to get them there, right? So they're quite often taking things like clenbuterol, which is going to enhance your heart rate, and it's almost like you're just running constantly, which allows you to shed fat very, very easily. And, you know, there's all these other kinds of performance enhancing drugs that these guys take to just try bring themselves back to a baseline level of feeling okay while still maintaining this, you know, crazy physique. But if you have to take all of these, you know, exogenous substances and inject them into your body or take them orally to just maintain where you're at and not feel like death, that's probably not the healthiest route to go down, right? So I try to make guys understand that health is more important than your physique. And when you look at it through this lens on a long enough time frame, you're going to get that physique you want anyway, but you're going to do it in a way that's sustainable long term. So if you see guys that are consistently like 6% body fat, 7% body fat year round, chances are they might be on either, there's two options, right? They are doing it naturally, which is great, but they're probably going to be feeling like death. And again, everyone is slightly different, so I'm not talking about everyone in general, but in the most cases, you're going to not feel very great. Your testosterone is going to be, you know, crushed into the ground. Your free testosterone is also going to be crushed into the ground. You're going to have no sex drive. You're going to be sleeping really, really bad. You're going to wake up, you know, 15, 20 times a night. Your recovery is going to be shot. So to mitigate these effects of being extremely lean, the other option is you take a bunch of exogenous hormones or substances to bring yourself back to this baseline level. So you do have a sex drive, you can sleep at night, all these other things, but then the, you know, overall toxicity of having these exogenous substances in your body all of the time just to maintain this, again, isn't much of a long-term strategy. And again, you want to put a protocol or a strategy into place that you can do now and you can do in 10 years time. Right? And so often I see this, you know, I was just talking with a guy the other day and one of his buddies, you know, looks really amazing. He's super jacked, he's super shredded, and he's 19 years old and he's just had liver failure. So his organs are literally giving out already just from the amount of exogenous substances he's pumping into his body to maintain this physique, right? And if you think about it, it's a little bit silly to do that just to maintain a cool physique so you can look really good. It's much better just to be healthy, be vital, feel great, get out in the sun, and actually live your life beyond just the gym. So that's my story on how I got to 5.2% body fat for competing in a natural bodybuilding competition and why I don't think you should do it unless, you know, you want to pursue it as a professional career. And then again, natural bodybuilding isn't much of a career. You know, it's always more into the enhanced side of things if you're going down the bodybuilding route. If you do it, you're not probably going to feel the best. Again, we want to emphasize health and being as healthy and vital as possible rather than just looking amazing, right? So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of it, you know, like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below if you've had a similar experience or if you were thinking about wanting to do a competition or anything like that. I could give you, you know, more in-depth pointers or anything like that. And if you are looking at optimizing your overall health and vitality, I've constructed a free, it's like a 29-minute video. Just click the link down below and I'll send you my free golden ratio tool as well. Then you can watch the video and I'll basically break down exactly how to align your lifestyle to these 6 key areas of your life so you can unlock the state of optimal health and vitality all the time, and you don't have to get shredded feeling like death. You can do so in a long-term strategy. So click the link down below if you want to watch that video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.